Hey everybody, welcome to 2023. We are kicking the year off here with Jeff Azar, aka Demi the Daredevil. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks so much for having me. I really dig your guys' podcast. I think you ask good questions. I'm happy to be here.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
So you you got a really good social media presence, dude. How long have you been around? About 5. I think your first singles came out, which were from the first album in 2017. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so I guess that's flying by. Oops, I'm very sorry. So that's about five years, and the social media thing. I started out just people confusing the music page for like an art page because I didn't know what to post, and I was just posting reposts of just random visuals that I found online, and then I started understanding we're speaking to a culture. And so I just grew it over time, was just sending a lot of personal DMs out, and then it just grew into a bigger community. So that was just a long process. I'm an example of a long road kind of musician, I think.
That sounds pretty short to me. I've been around. So it's the single digit 2000s, and I'm still going like, how do I do this social media thing, man?
Well, even so, that was the social media. Like when I started social media 5 years ago, that was just my solo stuff. But before that, I'd been playing as a drummer in and out of this band for a decade or more, and it was so it's still kind of long term, but I guess we it's definitely, we're both I guess examples of definitely not the you post one thing and it just goes viral the next day, like the stories we hear, which are very rare, more rare than we think.
Very rare. Even for me, if like something gets a few thousand views, I'm like, I went viral.
Right.
Hey, look at it go!
Got tens of views.
And then I don't want to say anything to anybody. I don't want to jinx it. I'm like, oh man, this is cool. So it's so weird though, because you never know, man. Like I personally have a hard time with with just the marketing aspect of it all in general. It's kind of it's not really my forte, and I think most musicians, it's not like we didn't get into creating so we could go like spend all day in marketing, and a lot of this didn't even exist when a lot of us started, or at least not to the level it's at now. And nowadays, I guess the biggest platforms I would think are probably TikTok, Instagram, and Spotify probably for the for the streaming and stuff. And then YouTube still, I'm assuming. What do you think? What were you saying there, Vic?
No, I was going to say, I think Facebook can be included in there too, because they got all the shorts and.
I guess Facebook's still pretty relevant. I see a lot of younger artists though, or I think that seem to have a lot of traction on Instagram, and then they post on Facebook. Like you post on Instagram, it goes to Facebook, but there's not a lot of traction. I think it's kind of like, yeah, cool, it goes to Facebook. Some people see it, but it's not really your primary focus. Is that kind of where you're coming from, Jeff?
Yep. I think so. They surprisingly, like I do some ads, and sometimes it's cheaper to run ads on Facebook, and there still is a huge audience there. So for ads, that might be, it's still relevant. But in terms of like organic reach, I feel like, definitely Facebook like cut it first, and then we went to Instagram, like, hey, nobody's even responding on Facebook. Instagram's like this new organic thing, and now TikTok seems to have become what Instagram was 6 years ago, where it's just like you're getting all this organic reach because they're new and they're not getting flooded with advertisers taking up space. So
And then for all the people that just want to go argue, be mad, throw temper tantrums, get off of social media, get back on social media, there's Twitter for that stuff, I guess. That seems to be what... As a musician, have you ever found any use whatsoever for Twitter? Because it seems pretty pointless from my viewpoint.
Yeah, I never got big on into Twitter, but I know that it's. I mean, I don't know what the deal is now with Twitter with Elon Musk buying and saying you can get verified if you pay $10. It just seems like I don't know what's going to happen there. But yeah, as far as I understand, it's what you're saying. It's just like Twitter is that place where you can, like they say, Instagram's a party, Facebook's like everything's perfect, and then Twitter's just like it's just you're ranting.
The dumpster fire. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe more political. Yeah. Would you guys use Twitter?
No. I mean, I've got a Twitter, but I don't even bother with it because it seems so pointless, So with you said you used to play drums. Are you based? First of all, you're based. Where are you based out of?
El Paso, Texas.
El Paso, Texas.
okay.
Wow.
Yep.
Do you
Yep.
play much locally there? And you used to? Is that kind of how you came up? You said you played drums in another band. Did you come up playing clubs and stuff around El Paso? Is that your background?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it was always the same band. I've never really been in another band. I kind of played with people here and there, but yeah, Demi was just like I started out as the drummer in El Paso for Demi the Daredevil, 2 guitarists and another lead singer, and he passed away, and eventually I just became the frontman. Long convoluted story, but but anyway, yeah, I started in El Paso, and we I just played there recently for this tour with this TikTok artist TX2, and we played in El Paso. So that was the first time I played there in about 3 years or something. But yeah, that's where we started playing just random random shows. We played a Warped Tour there in Las Cruces one time.
Oh wow, cool, man.
Yeah.
How'd that stuff come about? Is that via management that kind of putting together these tours and with Warped and stuff, or was that just kind of hustle from your end? How did that come about?
It was, yeah. The Warped Tour was just a hustle. Like I think we submitted. It was an Ernie Ball thing competition, so we submitted and we got enough votes to get that spot. And this recent tour, yeah, the management did help. I mean, TX2 was on his roster, and then but we pretty much booked a lot of it. So yeah, right now we were working with a booking agent, and then but for this last tour, yeah, it was just us, like sending a bunch of emails and trying to plan it out. Yeah.
So you just came off of a tour?
Yeah. We played in November, mid-November, and just had a lot of good bands on the bill. Went through around Texas and through Phoenix and Utah and Colorado. So it was just like kind of like a Southwest tour. And then we just played with this other band Full of Nuns, and they started the pop punk night. So they really pull a lot of the emo kids, and we played just 3 Texas shows with them. Played in San Angelo, Texas, and those people went crazy. There was really good, really good. It's just one of those smaller towns that they just like they don't get maybe as much music, or for some reason it's just like they just seem to go more wild.
Did you play the Dead Horse? Where did you play there?
Yeah, we played at Dead Horse.
Yeah, that's cool, Blar.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So Demi the Daredevil now is what? What does that band entail now? Like, who is a part of that?
So I play with a drummer and a bass player, and it's a new configuration. We just started playing together live, maybe five months ago. But it's been me pretty much since you mentioned before in 2017. It's just been I'd been playing with my brother and with other mates, and it just band relationships and. It's just really hard to get people on the same page, and so I was, I just started making the parts and making all the parts myself, and so it's kind of been a one solo project, this whole time. So it's kind of I'm still trying out the mates, and but it really just became very very common these days. It seems like now that we have like capabilities of making the music from our bedroom, that you just see like one person being the face of a project, and I imagine it's because it's just easier, it's just more natural that way nowadays.
So do you self-record and self-produce then, or do you take things into a studio once you have them written?
Yeah, I everything is pretty much recorded here in this little shed, if we're recording live drums, we'll track that live in a studio or something, and then usually I just, for the most part, I've just send it off to a mixer and a master, and they just make it sound bigger. But I produce most of it. In this recent EP, I got 3 of the songs produced by somebody, and then 2 of them were just mixed. Yeah.
Do you have like a preferred mixing engineer, mastering engineer combo that you use, or do you like trying different people?
Yeah, I want to, it'd be nice. I have been using, I think for the most part, I mostly have used Sean O'Keefe, and he's he produced. He got known early on with Fall Out Boy with their "Take This to Your Grave" album, and Hawthorne Heights, and he was just big in that scene during that time, Motion City Soundtrack. And so I connect with him, and he makes it sound really great. And then with the new management and stuff, they, it's like, oh, he is, people on his roster, because he's managing producers and mixers, or I'm just kind of putting feelers out there, like, one of those. So yeah, it's been kind of just a different, it's kind of just, making new connections and trying things out. But more or less everyone's caliber seems pretty much the same.
You mentioned like Fall Out Boy. I'm curious about some of your influences, in particular, I guess, influences that you think make sense with this band, or things that sort of, you know what I mean, like genre-wise or style-wise, that sort of align with Demi the Daredevil. What are some primary influences of yours? Yeah,
I think that it would be. Let's see. It's hard. I think I was raised with a lot of '80s soft pop. My parents listened to a lot of Phil Collins and Chicago and Genesis and Bowie and Queen. I don't know if that's all. It seems, it's just that 80s stuff, like and then there's dance. My mom was a dancer, like a choreographer, a teacher, so she was always listening to like this dance, like pop stuff, like Michael Jackson and Prince and Janet Jackson. So I have that influence, and then there's classical. My brother's a classical pianist, so there's a lot of classical music playing. And musicals and stuff. So there was that from the household, and then I was really into punk and metal kind of, and so so like Avenged Sevenfold, Metallica, and Blink and Green Day, and My Chem and All American Rejects, and then I can't play guitar still, so I can simulate like kind of like rough. I want it to sound distorted and heavy, but because of that, it like went electronica a little bit, seemingly electronica. So so it was just that culmination where it just turned out to be this.
Yeah, which I think is cool. Everything you were saying, actually, I can see those elements. Like, there's definitely very much clearly from the visuals, but in the music itself, even I get some of that musical, theatrical elements, and like you said, Bowie or I get some of those 80s notes, some of that vibe. But
oh, cool.
Yeah, and the 80s notes, and it's danceable for sure, and it's very hook-laden and catchy like that. But
Sweet,
also hearing that kind of pop punk, like a little more of that kind of, hearing a little bit of the punk rock kind of vibe. The aesthetic, but I personally I kind of like it because it's like I don't listen to a ton of that kind of music. There's some of it I like, but I think this I like the blend of what you got going on here, because I think it brings some other elements into it that makes it a little interesting. You know what I mean? Where I'm not just like, oh, this is just a pop punk band. It's kind of got a little more. I don't want to use the word substance, but just more flavor. You know
dimension.
What I mean?
Yeah. That's
more
awesome,
dimension.
Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you.
And then your videos. Tell us about your videos. I watched the couple you had on your website. I don't know. You might have a lot more, but what's your process there? Tell us a little bit about that aspect of the band, just the visual aspect, where the Demi, like kind of your character, you know what I mean? Like where all that kind of came from and how that fits into everything.
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's hard to boil down because so much of the videos and so much of the aesthetic, I obsess over it and I want it to be as clear as possible. But a lot of the stuff that ends up coming out is very spaghetti against the wall. It just is like a natural, expression, and then we try to clean it up. So it's been a lot of just kind of random whatever I'm feeling at the time or something. But that the character, like the paper sack character, it was just like we were like, we need a photo shoot. What do I have in my closet? I recently bought these red suspenders. I got a black and white shirt, and then I saw these Saul Steinberg. He was a New Yorker cartoonist, and he had some like photo shoots of like people with paper bags on their head with like different facial expressions. So it just kind of, I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to make that, and we just threw those three things together, and then it just turned out to be this character that the fans, like, they heard the music, they know that this person is clearly troubled or like dealing with a lot of baggage, and then let's give that a character. Let's personify this kind of person who is a sensitive, disturbed person, and so it just ended up being that character. And then I kind of used it in some videos, and the videos, it's like I have I listen to lyrics a lot, like go by the lyrics and be like, okay, so here's what this is about. And I have a tendency to be too literal, and I'm like, okay, let's try to be. It's always like my first step is being like, go by the lyrics. Let's express this real literally, and then try not to make it too cheesy, because if you're too literal, it seems to be too cheesy.
Right.
So yeah, so I try not to do that, but I know there's probably some of that in there. And then I'll have like here are the ideas, and then work with a director or like a videographer. Usually it's been a videographer, but some of them had a director, and the director helps make the vision clear. But
Right.
videographers, sometimes they're just like, just show me up and tell me what to shoot, and it's a little bit more
Right.
messy.
Yeah, I relate to that, and I for me, if I get in a studio and it's like once I get in that element, I'm just rapid firing, and my brain is there. But from a visual standpoint, orally I'm like that. But from a visual standpoint, it kind of takes a lot more for me to. I'm not just like waking up with like brilliant story script ideas. I'm just not wired that
Yeah.
way. So it takes a lot for me to like storyboard a video and think about a video. But one thing about, and I'm wondering if it's similar for you, which it sounds like it might be, like when you're working with a director or something, what I think is cool about that is you can kind of come in with some general ideas, and maybe they're not totally refined, or maybe they're kind of a little too literal or whatever. But I love that being same with like a producer oftentimes, right? You can kind of bounce the ideas back and forth, and you land in a really cool in between spot where you've both really cultivated something. You know what I mean? It's not too like whatever was maybe a little weak on one person's end gets kind of shed
Yes.
away, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the part I feel like is, it's hard sometimes for me to work with people, but then, seeing the end result, like you're saying, like just everybody, they pick up your weak points, like in any kind of collaboration. So, you see these like massive hits, and you look at the number of songwriters on the thing.
Oh yeah.
It's just like 20 people who are like, damn, dude, like it would be so, it's so hard to collaborate sometimes, but then like, yeah, you're going to get the best idea. They're going to get the best end result that way, I bet.
I don't think this is a one size fits all at all. Obviously, you got guys like Freddie Mercury, who is just a total, or Prince, right? And they just do everything.
Oh, that's
and they're
right.
just
Perfect examples of that. Yeah.
Geniuses, And I mean, there's plenty of that, and a lot of times there's a couple of guys, like Lyndon McCartney, that kind of stuff. But I do think like what I noticed, and I think myself included, a lot of times when you're a younger musician, sometimes you're really like, and I see guys like this now, and I'm like, you're the exact person that needs a producer. You don't think you do, but you totally do, because you're holding on so tight to your art. And it's like, yeah, dude, it's cool, but you're green, and someone else could really open that up and kind of take it somewhere, that might see things and might know more than you do. So I've learned the longer I've gone, like the value, you got to trust yourself. And I think there's a lot that you've got to be able to bring a certain amount to the table. Ideally, I think. I mean, a lot of guys I don't think do. And then, like you said, you have 20 songwriters. You're like, well, what the hell did you do other than have a pretty face? You know what I mean? Like, and big tits or something. But whatever. Like I get the business aspect of it. But I think a lot of guys, it's like being creative like that. And then even if it's just one other guy, a producer or a director, whoever you're working with, can like really make that shine.
I totally agree. Yeah, they open you up to, a bunch of things you would never consider.
Another aspect, man, is the visuals and just the artwork. Like, do you have a particular artist? You got just go on your website and just looking at I guess is this the cover of the new EP?
Yep.
My Purgatorium. That's killer artwork, man. Who did that?
Right. It's this guy. He goes by Sir Swamp on Instagram. And I think he's just an all around talented, like he's just one of those artists that like makes music, and he makes his illustrations, and he's in film school and stuff. So luckily he discovered an old song of mine, and I didn't even realize how good he was. He was just a fan of the music, and then I was like, dang, dude, like your stuff just looks like just has this like surreal style that looks like Tim Burton a little bit, with like the skinny characters, and and so he very lanky.
I was going to say it's definitely kind of got that vibe, right? Nightmare Before Christmas vibe a little bit, yeah.
I know, and I love that. And so I think the last couple covers before this EP, and a couple merch designs. I asked him to do the illustration, and then and I just tell him like here's all the information like back to like the similar to the director, and then he's helped like I'm gonna give you my input, and then the graphic design, it was this guy on Instagram, D Vision. He's from India. He was an architecture student, and I just the design stuff that he was doing was super cool. So he just did this, and it kind of looked like a movie poster or something to me, and so yeah.
Whoa, it's fancy. Nice. Did you do that, Vic?
I did, playing with all the
That's cool.
the cool little tools on this thing. So,
Man, look at us. We've
jumped up.
We've reached a new level of professionalism.
Yeah, I love that, dude.
We
Real
can show
time.
images now.
Oh my god.
We'll be at tens of listeners in no time.
I tell you what, it is anything we don't have to do in post, I am a fan of.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Dude, I bet people don't realize that with podcasts, like that it's not just like record and upload. It's like there's a whole, you got to edit and you got to splice and you got to do the audio.
I've realized that with everything. You're like, yeah, cool, this sounds great, and then you like get started and you're like, oh man, this is a lot of work,
I know.
And I think we've gotten a little better and more streamlined. But in the beginning, we had some Zoom stuff, and the audio would drift, and we'd have to go back and fix this, and it was just like, oh crap, So
there really weren't any good tools in the beginning when we started. I mean, you had to have like a pro studio set up, like all the mics, and you have all these separate cameras that were set up that, of course you see other podcasters like Joe Rogan use, but then he's got a guy that puts it all together, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Back in the day, man, I listened to his like first few podcasts, and it was like him fucking around with a camera, and they're on like people are asking Twitter questions. The first two podcasts, in the middle of the podcast, it was like him and a comedian buddy, and he would be like, "Oh, I got to go take a shit," and then he just like leaves, and the guy's like talking to people on Twitter. Oh, it's super, just like man, like totally ghetto, but kind of cool. But I mean, that was pioneer days of whenever we used to talk about it, never did it right. Probably back in. I mean, when was that? 2009 or 10? It was a long time ago, man.
That's actually...
So, yeah. Nowadays, it's much easier. But even in the last few years, which I think this is probably the case for tons of technology because of the pandemic and everybody being shut in and having to go the online route, and how many jobs now people that were having to go to offices don't need to anymore. We all got used to doing the Zoom and all that kind of stuff. So I bet the technology sped up even more in the last few years. But yeah, even just since the 2020, I feel like we've seen an improvement in a lot of this stuff. Man,
it's scary how quickly it's going. Like, yeah,
the scary part kind of is too. And nowadays, like you said, it's the whole personal connection thing with fans is so important, and making real fans, because social media numbers definitely matter, and all these things matter. Like, because I think there's this psychology that has always existed and always will, and you react to these things, and I think you're more inclined to be intrigued by something that has 100,000 or 1 million plays than 15. So that shit matters. But I think like in the long term, right? Delivering live, obviously getting out there. I still think that's relevant, right? Getting out there, getting on tour, meeting people, playing to people in real life, and then making those connections like that is huge, because we never know, like, when this platform, think about MySpace and it was invested in MySpace. I mean, that was a little before your time maybe, but all that just went almost seemingly overnight, was just gone, just dead, just a wasteland. It was like, wow, you know what I mean? And it kind of makes you think like, fuck, I hope like Facebook doesn't just go to shit overnight one night, because then it's like all that stuff, all your posts, all your numbers, like does it matter, right?
I know. Yeah, that's such a good point. Like, how do you? And I know it's like, even Discord. It's like artists are saying, okay, we got these platforms, but then you have, or like Patreon, or like you have these other things. So it's more safe there. I guess email maybe is the safest, or
I think so.
Phone number.
Yeah.
But but I agree with the real life connections. Like, you need to keep in contact with them with some kind of like email or I don't know what. And then also talking with them, like either you're really messaging them one-on-one, or they're hearing your voice over the DMs. Like, you can record your mic or record yourself on video, or go in person and see these people, because I've seen that the best best connections do come like in person if you meet them at in real life. Yeah.
What is Discord?
It's this. I discovered it like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and one of the fans suggested it, and it's just like this like awesome hub of communication that has all these. It's so organized with the types of things people can connect with. So it's just like, here's a bunch of like 50 sub chats. One of them's about gaming, whatever you want to customize it as. One of them's about movies from 1970s. Who wants to nerd out over that? Here, who wants to vent about their problems? Who wants to vent about their problems?
There's
and the
one
trigger.
for Skunk right there, venting.
Yeah.
I've been doing good, Vic. I'm vent free in 2023.
That's good. That's
Not
good.
really, but so far I've gone about 25 minutes being vent free.
Hey, that's good. That's good podcast material. You gotta.
Yeah, I mean,
I kind of want to hear.
be
I want to
fair,
hear
we were
Bill
in the-
Burr rants.
oh, dude, I got to see Bill Burr live, man, just recently. I don't even think I told you that, Vic.
No.
Got
That's amazing.
last minute free tickets from Vin from RuneScar, and Tim and I went, and it was just
Wow.
it was my first time at the new the new Moody, and it was just like
Oh, are
the
you guys in
park went out-
Austin?
Yeah.
yeah, we're in Austin.
How did I not even know this whole time? You're just happy to be in San Francisco for the
right.
break. Okay. Wow.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're Austin. I didn't see that part. Okay. Well, so you saw him at the Moody Theater. Were those tickets like crazy? Like I can't.
I have no
imagine.
idea. I mean,
Okay,
we
you
were
just gotta go.
nosebleed, but they were still good. We got them free at the 11th hour, and
Dude, that's awesome.
I will say, like, I wasn't sitting right next to him. I am going to vent and talk shit. There was this drunk idiot that was like sitting next to Tim the whole time. He would just be like, oh, he's like practically spilling his drink, and this is gonna be good. Oh, this is already worth the money. And then Bill Burr would start telling a joke, and he would start repeating it, and I could just tell like Tim was like, I want to punch this guy in the face. Like it was just like, dude, shut the fuck up. We all know Bill Burr's funny, and we're listening to him in real time tell the joke. We don't need your commentary right now. But yeah, Bill Burr, as always, was fantastic. And Vic and I think both agree on we're like super like God bless the comedians, those type of comedians that the virtue signaling word police probably hate them. But I think it's important. I think you need that balance, and I don't. These guys aren't out there deliberately being like. What I think a good comedian does is they're fair and they shit on everybody, right? And I think obviously Bill Burr is one of the elites. So yeah, it was great, man. But I realized that when we started this podcast, I'm not Bill Burr, and we're not Joe Rogan, and nobody really gives a shit to listen to us rant for 3 hours on end. So I think that's why we're like, maybe we should streamline it a little more and like. Let's give the guests a chance to talk. I won't just use this for ranting the whole time.
Well, that's good. You guys are just taking. I mean, maybe you got like we're back to that like multi-dimensions thing. You're just like, hey, you're into comedy, but you're into music, but you ask like deeper questions or like I don't know. You guys seem multifaceted too. So I like that about your guys' stuff. So
Well, I think most people we talk to agree, and I think in terms of. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Comedy, man. Like to me, as a musician, I think a lot of comedians want to be musicians, and musicians want to be comedians. And I've done a little bit of open mic stand up, and it's the most amazing thing in the world. I just improv. I'm lazy. I don't know how to write. Or I'd never have really sat down and written comedy. And if I did, I got on stage and all went out the window, and I just started verbal diarrhea everywhere. And once in a while, it worked out great, and people were laughing, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're great!" And other times, it was like crickets, and I was like, "Oh man, this sucks." So I have such respect for comedians because it's very difficult to do that. You don't have a band, you don't have any music or anything to hide behind. It's just you and the audience, and you're either funny or you're not.
I know. That's That's a really good point too, because I was trying to explain that to somebody. One of my friends, he does improv, and I'm like so impressed by that. And he was just like, well, it's the same thing, you're having, or like an actor, I'm like, you're having to remember your lines or something. Like, well, you're having to play in front of all these people, play a music thing, but it's like the crowd's reaction when you're playing music. You can still have a crowd that's like, they can fake bob their head, or they can move, right. And they can kind of, but then if you're not funny, it's just crickets. You're not gonna have people that are just like faking laugh. I don't feel like. So it's so much more vulnerable.
Exactly.
To me. Yeah.
It's way more uncomfortable. Like it's one thing if a band is just absolutely terrible, like that's just comedy in of itself. Yeah. But if a band is just playing and there's not a real vibe, it's like the band can at least sort of be like fuck them, or damn, nobody showed up or whatever. And you can still play, right? You can still put on a show and do your part. And there's even if you don't seem like you're getting that reaction, maybe some people are into it. Most likely they are actually. But with comedy, it's like if they're not laughing, there's just really no. And I've been in those situations where you're watching like comedians just bomb, and it's uncomfortable for everybody. Like if a band's on stage and they're like kind of whatever, it's not uncomfortable. If a comedian is bombing, it's like literally uncomfortable for the entire audience and the comedian, right?
So true. Yeah. It may be because it's so quiet too. Like we're like not
right.
Like it's just like, yeah. It's silence is awkward. Can be more awkward. And music, it's just like loud as hell. So you're hiding behind the sound. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of musicians, have kind of that relationship with comedians just based on that, understanding that aspect of being an entertainer and having an appreciation of that, right? But what's another thing that's interesting to me is like when people are like, "Oh, do you ever get stage fright or that?" It's complete opposite. I wonder how you are on this, because if I'm playing to hardly anybody and it's like there's not a vibe, I'm not gonna like not try, like I'm still gonna like give it my all, but it's harder to like get into it and feel good. But if there's like 1,000 people, like then that energy is so incredible that you're just like, now you're on fire. And I think comedy is the same way. Once you get that first laugh, and then it's like then you can start rolling. Or if you're playing, it's so reciprocal, right? And reciprocal. You know what I mean? Like, so do you have anything like that? Do you have stage fright at all, or do you feel the energy of the crowd and respond to that, or have you ever had stage fright, or have you always been comfortable as an entertainer?
I feel like I was comfortable as a drummer because I was just hiding behind, that was comfortable. I just let loose. I was uncomfortable very much when I was not writing the melodies, when my brother was writing the music and I was just writing the lyrics. It was so Broadway and it was so technical, and I just knew it wasn't commercially, I knew that it wasn't being understood as well. So I just felt really, really shy and not in my element. But then when I started making my own stuff, I feel, like if I have bandmates on stage with me, because I went solo for a while where I was playing drums live with backtracks mixed with keys live, just solo, and it felt vulnerable because I just didn't have my technical side together. I don't feel genuinely, I don't feel much stage fright. I do a little bit right before, but once you're on stage, like you said, especially if there's a crowd there, then I immediately go into another, place. It just feels like I'm not thinking about it. I feel less self-conscious. I'm not as self-conscious, but but it does suck. Yeah, it is harder when if you play to a big room and then like the next show you play to like 4 people and they're not getting into it. And so in those moments, it is hard to be like, I could just like, it's hard to not cut the set short, and it's hard to not, but I just see myself from the outside and be like, hey, you're going to live a noble life. You're going to go down swinging, and you're just going to give it your all. I don't care who's there. So that's definitely what I do.
Yeah, and that's the job of a professional, I think, whether you're an entertainer or athlete or anything, right? Regardless of the circumstances, you give it your all and do your best, whether the game is over or, whatever the case may be. So,
that's very true.
But you made a good point too, man, about just being prepared, having a band that's prepared, feeling good about the material. That's a really good point, because it's definitely harder, I think, to really put forth the energy and just, I think there's so much is intangible between a performer and audience. Like I think when a band is firing on all cylinders and the vibe is good and everyone's feeling good, even if it's not the tightest set in the world, that's going to be there's just a vibe that's happening in the room, right? There's energy.
Yes.
But if it's like you can tell the guys on stage hate each other, you know what I mean? Even if it's subconscious, I think that comes through, man. You know what I mean? I think a crowd subconsciously can sense that, and it really does make a big difference. So I think everything you said definitely makes sense, in terms of that, the feeling good about performing, the material, the being prepared, all those elements. And then if you get the awesome crowd on top of it, then it's just like everything's there,
Then that's totally, man. Yeah, and that's a really good point too about the subconsciously they can pick up on it really is energy. It sounds it's so subtle, but
Yeah.
our subconscious, we pick up on that stuff intuitively. So.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's artsy fartsy talk on our end. I think that's just kind of the laws of the universe.
I know, man. Yeah, that law. Now that's my language with the whole. Yeah, the whole EP was just like, it was questioning the idea of God, and so much of it is just like what makes sense to me in my head are laws of the universe, and it's kind of impersonal, and you have to submit to these rules, and you have to know them. So I don't know. That's my language right there. The laws of the universe.
Let's Vic, what's your experience with just kind of getting into the voiceover stuff and the acting stuff that you've been doing? Are you do you get any kind of butterflies or nerves, or how does that work, and what's your comfort level?
I mean, I think in the very beginning, yes, because it was a bit of an unknown. But, the more I rep stuff, even if it's, I'm coming into like working with a new production company, new crew, I just kind of take it like one moment at a time. And that's how I deal with it. And honestly, I've been singing the praises of jiu-jitsu, right? But if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have gone into the voiceover or the screen acting stuff, right? Because,
whoa.
Yeah, I mean, because, like a bad day on the mats is still better than a good day on the couch, right? And so even if I'm like the past few months, and I've just been, just had some health issues. I had like sinus infection and all this other stuff, and my immune system got knocked down. And I ended up getting COVID like right around Thanksgiving. And so I've been sick since, I don't know, Labor Day, just one thing after another. And now I'm to the point where I'm just getting back into things and I'm feeling good again. And so I'm getting smashed in, not in a good way with alcohol or anything like that, but like on the mats, right? I'm just getting tore up. But at the same time, there may be I may have a moment where I can feel like the body weight shift and I can work an escape, right? So that just helps with the mental aspect of everything that I approach outside of the gym, right? So whether it's voiceover, I take a look at the project, I see what they're trying to do, what they're trying to convey in like a commercial or whatever project they're working in. Same thing with the screen stuff, right? It's like, hey, what are we trying to do? What's the message we want to convey? And just kind of take it a moment at a time, right? Just like one round at a time. So
yeah, it sounds like you have to be. When I look at actors, they seem to be the most present people. In my like you have to be so present. So it seems like that's partially what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to figure that stuff out, because the trick is that you want to be present, right? You want to be able to. You don't want to see people. You don't want to have people see you acting like just hammy acting, right? You want to be natural with your reaction, so you have to be in the moment even if you're doing the lines or whatever over and over again, you still have to have a genuine reaction, like, hey, how would I, like, I've never been in this situation personally, but I'm trying to put myself in the feet of a person that's going through this. So like, in that situation, how would I react? So it bring about a natural reaction, and that's actually kind of tough.
I can't imagine, man.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You see actors out there that are like Denzel. I think is somebody that I like a lot from an acting perspective.
I just saw he just turned 68.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was that old, but the guy looks great. Yeah, Denzel's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean,
and a lot of people bag on him, but like Tom Cruise, he's got the same mannerisms in all of his movies, but when he does a movie, it's like, oh, he's not. It's that character, he's Maverick.
He's a good actor, man. Like,
yeah, he's Maverick.
Think about Born on the 4th of July. I mean, he's Rain Man.
Yeah.
I was like, there was something about Rain Man. Have you seen that movie, Jeff? You know that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, where they apparently would switch role, like in between shots and stuff in downtime, they would switch parts. And he would play the autistic guy, and Dustin Hoffman would play his role. That's pretty cool. And Dustin Hoffman, I think, was saying like, oh, he was as good, if not better than me. So,
wow.
I mean, as crazy as Tom Cruise is, like, you know, he's definitely a legit actor. But I think acting's probably like so many things, right? Maybe, I can play piano, and then you start, or I want to play piano. I hate this question. How long do you think it'll take me to, dude? I don't know. For starters, take your fucking guitar out of your case. Like, that's a good start. Like, you're going to have to actually practice the damn thing. Like, how long do you think it'll take me? However you practice. But the point is, in like, I think I could do comedy, but then you get in that situation. It's not as easy as you think. Like acting. I think I could act. And I've been in some situations where I was acting and I start like a little giddy schoolgirl, just like giggling and laughing. Like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? Come on, get it together, you know?
And you talked about that subconscious thing that people pick up on, right? Like what was like the last big concert that the Eagles had before they broke up back in the 70s or 80s, when Glenn Fry and Don Feldman were almost got into a fist fight backstage, but they were just like pissed at each other, right?
Yeah.
So you watch a video of that concert, you can tell they're just so pissed off, and the crowd's probably going like, "What the fuck's going on?" But I mean, it's the same thing.
Oh yeah.
It's the same thing.
True.
You see like it's funny. You see some actors, especially like the athletes that go into acting, like The Rock, right? Like his first movie roles, he's acting, right? And so it kind of comes off kind of a little cheesy on some of his movies.
This is a recent discovery for me, so I got to bring this up since we're on the topic of athletes acting. First of all, I discovered this show. I think it's hilarious, and I just discovered it because there was a little advertisement on Netflix for a Christmas special, like "Who Killed Santa? A Murderville Mystery." Have you guys heard of or seen Murderville?
I've seen the preview. No. I haven't seen any of the shows.
Murderville.
Oh man,
no.
I think it's hilarious, dude. It's Will Arnett as Senior Detective Terry.
Oh, I love Will Arnett.
Is that the one that's
so
improv
freaking
like the whole time?
Funny? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what they do is they have a story, right? It's like a murder mystery. And and he's like the detective. In every episode, it's like his ex-wife / boss is like shows up and ruins his day, and then she's like, "Well, I've got a new partner for you." And it's like, "No, don't do this to me today," you know? Yeah, and this. So then, like, it's always like a guest. So there's always a guest star, but they have no idea about the script or anything but everyone else does. So like one episode in the Christmas special, it was like Jason Bateman and Ruta Mayoff, and like one's got like a Conan O'Brien and like Sharon Stone is one of them. But anyway, Marshawn Lynch is on one of them, dude, as his. So they've always got like they show up and they got a little trainee vest on, and he's like taking them around, and they got to try to solve the murder. It's fucking hilarious, dude. I highly recommend it.
Dude, I cannot wait. Marshawn Lynch he to play the improv role where he didn't even know what.
Yes.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
Yes.
That's kind of how.
And then he also made an appearance on the Christmas special too. Yeah. So Marshawn Lynch was in a couple of them, but yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Dang, dude.
What were you saying?
I was saying that's probably kind of where my acting level is right now. Is like Marshawn Lynch getting thrown into improv.
Popping some Skittles before your lines.
Yeah.
Can you real quick, when you do improv, is there like a site that you go to apply for that, or do you just know people behind the scenes?
I think there's probably some improv classes that are
voice acting. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Voice acting. You don't run into it too much in a project. Maybe a little bit if it's like a directed project, but I haven't landed one of those yet. But like if you're doing like classes behind the scenes just to improve, like to like script analysis or something, you can take improv classes with that. And so they'll do stuff like And Then or The Repeater or something like that. It's kind of crazy, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Very much respect.
Have you done any acting of any kind?
No. I would just be too terrified, especially the improv stuff and the acting. I think I just don't think that my brain could have the capacity to empathize with somebody, especially if I have never gone through it, and try to put myself in that hypothetical shoes. And even if I have gone through it, it would be just so hard to be in the moment feeling that again. That's so like to me. I don't know if my brain has the capacity for it. Yeah. I
have like a big respect for that because I know just in my everyday life myself, like I mean, once I'll just use teaching as an example, right? And I go, I'm like, sometimes I'm just so wrapped up in my own personal shit, and I'm just like, I got to pull myself away from this, and I'm frustrated, and it doesn't like super affect my lessons, but I know that I'm not necessarily all there sometimes, and I really got to work to like put myself in that moment, and then sometimes it takes a little time, and then I kind of settle in, and then I'm actually excited, and I'm like, oh, this is what I love. I love talking music and doing music. But to be an actor, like you have, no matter what's going on in your life, you have to flip it like that. You gotta be on immediately, and that's hard, man.
That's crazy.
Yep.
The I guess you could train yourself by watching all the B movies that you can find on Netflix, or like Samurai Cop.
Man. Oh, so we went to a jam. I actually went to Sacramento. I think it was in Sacramento when we were talking about this, but I actually went to a jam the day after Christmas in Sacramento. Man, it was really cool. I guess we were talking about B movies or some shit, and I was like, no matter what you guys say, I can top it. Like it's just. So this was a theme on some of the early podcasts because we had one of my friends, Guy Laverick from England, was on the podcast. And Guy is the king of just discovering the worst movies of all time, like Samurai Cop, which is somehow watchable. But then there's Samurai Cop 2, which will literally make you question your own existence. Like it is, it's like the kind of movie that's so bad you're nauseous. Like after you watch it,
oh my god,
or films like Birdemic, and then somehow Birdemic 2. Like,
oh my
I don't
God.
know how this stuff even happens, but there is a charm sometimes to that, like not quite there acting. Like it's just some of those movies, like they're not so bad that you're just like, I can't take this, but they're bad enough to enjoy. They're just the right amount to enjoy. And well, I mean, who's an actor that we all love? Like who's notorious for that? Like Nicolas Cage, right?
Nicolas
Liam
Cage
Neeson
too. Liam Neeson's got some B plus
guys
movies.
that are totally capable and have had some great movies, but also have we'll just say yes to anything, I guess.
Oh, dude, Liam Neeson plays the same character in all his movies. Like I watched The Ice Road on Netflix, which I actually.
Oh yeah, it's the same.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, we watched Ice Road and we hated that movie because we were like, dude, Liam Neeson sucks in this movie. Like he
didn't kill enough.
He
people.
wasn't a badass. He just let somebody drown. We were like, dude, you're the worst.
I didn't realize he was around since Schindler's List.
Oh, he was around before that, man.
Yeah,
way before that.
He was in a Patrick Swayze movie.
Next to Kin,
yes.
dude.
Yeah, he was the brother.
Whoa.
Yeah. But yeah, Schindler's List was like his big. That was probably his.
That was his.
Eternalized him. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You got any favorite? What are some favorite? You got favorite movies or directors?
Let's see. Who does? Oh man. Why am I blanking on this? Okay, so David Lynch. I was, I don't know, just the whole thing. The Elephant Man, right? He did that.
Dude. I love that you said Elephant Man. That's to me that's my favorite David Lynch movie. I fucking love that movie, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, the I don't know. It's
the soundtrack fits it so well too, and the black and white, everything about that film is really awesome.
Yeah, maybe it was the soundtrack too, man. Yeah, all the I don't know everything about his stuff, like you're saying about acting, like where it's like not quite there. This is no diss, like I love his stuff, but when I see his movies, they feel like they're like 90% perfect, but it's not totally perfect. Like something's like. It feels messy a little bit or something, and so it feels real raw 100%. And artistic.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I would maybe have to go back and watch it again. I don't think The Elephant Man is that way. To me, that movie seems pretty well crafted.
That one was, yeah.
But that's a long time ago. That was like 82 or something. It was way back. And then, but the stuff that he's really well known for, like Twin Peaks, I remember accidentally watching Twin Peaks. It sounds ridiculous, but I watched an episode of Twin Peaks because I didn't realize there was a movie after the series they had done in the early 90s or whatever.
You were thinking it was something else, song. Like Twin Peaks.
Well, I wanted to hear the original version of Firewalk that Phantomos covered, this song.
Oh.
So I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, well, the fucking song never happened. Oh, shit. And then I realized, I don't know, that it was an actual series. But, of course, it had, 3 good-looking, young women in it. And I was like, hey, I'll keep watching. But there was something about that show that was it was pretty good, but there were moments when it was just the acting wasn't really very good. And I think this is a total David Lynch thing. he just has an idea and he's just like, let's just see what happens. There were moments I'm going like, do they fucking even know where this is going? Like the last episode, I don't know if you ever saw that show, but the last, and then they revamped it a few years ago, but the last episode of the original was so fucking bizarre. Aesthetically, it was really cool, but it was extremely bizarre. Like, and it was just like, I think he does that he just leaves you going, well, I was kind of frustrated though, because I'm like, great, I just watched 2 seasons or whatever this fucking show, and now it's just ended, and it makes zero sense. Nothing is resolved.
Yeah, nothing is resolved.
Maybe that's his metaphor for life or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, and I just realized we're talking about his imperfections, and freaking Nick Cage was in Wild at Heart. His thing, and that was an example of like the bad acting where I'm like, this is cheesy, but I liked.
But you love it because it's Nicolas Cage. Like Nicolas Cage has made a career now of there's memes in the whole thing of like when you watch a Nicolas Cage movie, you're part of why you're watching it. It's like you want to see that Nicolas Cage losing his shit overacting moment. You know what I mean? Like we've come to expect it and we love it.
I know, man.
Ghost Rider. Yeah.
Oh, dude, Sarah and I watched a movie last time I was here or something called Mandy. It's fucked up and dark.
Oh. Wait, Mandy?
Have you seen it?
Is it like a zombie movie? Right?
No, it's like a cult. So him and his girl are like living out in the woods, and then she gets abducted or some crazy shit. And I don't want to. But like some things happen that you're just like, holy shit, that is dark. So, but mix that. Bless you. Mix that with the Nicolas. But when all the shit goes down, then you're kind of sitting there like in this shocked, like Jesus Christ sort of state of mind, and then immediately on the heels of that, you have like Nicolas Cage covered in blood in his underwear in a bathroom, losing his shit, and it's just like amazing. And then he goes, and then of course, and he just like goes on a murder spree. So this is like really weird, Mandy fucked up shit. Watch Mandy. Yeah.
Huh.
Okay. When I'm looking at Mandy, it's like this. It looks like an old 80s fairy tale like series. I'm assuming that's not it. I'm probably spelling Mandy wrong.
Yeah, type in Mandy Nicolas Cage. Also, I was going to mention back to David Lynch. What's that movie that everybody cites and I still haven't watched and I really need to because a lot of people have said, "Oh, that's my favorite David Lynch movie." It's like Blue. Is it Blue Crush or Blue Velvet?
Oh, Blue Velvet. Yeah.
Blue Velvet. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it a pretty good one?
I remember it being good. Yeah. The what was it? It was it just felt like a mystery. It was again, like it was a thriller. It was some kind of horror thing. I don't know. It was just weird. I don't even remember what it was about right now.
Sounds like a David Lynch movie.
Looking through his IMDb page, I'm trying to figure out like what all he's done. The one that stands out is Dune, right? He did Dune, I think, right?
Yeah.
The first
really?
one. Yeah, the one from was it like 84?
Forget about that.
Yeah, 86. In the 80s. Yeah.
Oh, 84.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Yeah.
The new Dune was really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just thinking about a soundtrack, but it's actually not Dune. I think it's Tron.
Dude. With Daft Punk? Or
no, the movie Tron from. I think they did a remake of that too. Actually,
okay, the old
back
one
in the '80s with Jeff Bridges. But I was thinking about I was listening to some of this when I was on tour. This dude Louis was playing some of Wendy Carlos, who I maybe back then was I don't know, was trans. So I don't know what I can't remember what their name was, but did a lot of really cool, apparently did the Tron soundtrack, did like Clockwork Orange and The Shining and all that really cool that electronic music that was reimagined versions of old classical music, you know what I mean? But with all this like modern synthesizers and shit. And I always loved those soundtracks, man. I thought they were so cool.
Yeah, the Clockwork Orange, was that like the main theme song? Was that it sounded classical? I didn't know if it was Beethoven or if they just had Beethoven in the movie, and it's so cool.
Yeah, they totally had all these different Beethoven pieces, but I think that she played those with synthesizers, and then the main theme, though, the opening theme to that, as it's not Beethoven. I can't remember who it's by, but yeah, obviously Kubrick liked that composer, and I think for the time, like that was pretty innovative and cutting edge, man. I mean, you think about Clockwork Orange, that was all the way back to 71. We're talking pre-Dark Side of the Moon even, you know, and that's for those synth sounds back then, that was probably pretty wild, you know.
Dude, yeah, he's breaking. I mean, and even all around Kubrick, like the level of violence and stuff. And that when did that come out? It just seemed like he was pushing the boundaries. That was probably taboo.
Oh, totally, man. 71 is when that came out, and I think it was rated X and probably banned in places. And
yes,
yeah, it was pretty wild. I remember being like probably most young males, like you see that movie and you're just like, whoa, you know, because it's just so extreme. Probably like it's not so much now, maybe, but even still the impact. I remember of seeing that whenever I first did, maybe 20 years ago or something. Wow, imagine that fucking impact in 1971, you know, dude. Especially coming off of 2001, which was much more of a sort of artsy sort of, you know, I don't know. It was an interesting movie, but not there wasn't really like shock value other than like the amazing special effects or whatever, right?
Oh, were you talking about the new Tron, the remake or something?
No, I was talking about Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. That was like, I think maybe 1969 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which rumor? I say rumor. I can't remember if I read this, but I want to say Pink Floyd had tried to do a soundtrack for that, but they got turned down.
Oh, really?
Think they had actually submit. Yeah, which makes sense, right? You could totally see Pink Floyd, because Pink Floyd had done some film soundtracks. In fact, one of their unsung albums from, I think it was Between Metal and Dark Side of the Moon, like in maybe like 71 or 72, is Obscured by Clouds, and that whole soundtrack is to some film, I think, that they wrote that music. I could be wrong, but are you a Pink Floyd guy at all?
I'm not, yes, like, but not as extreme as, I was just talking to my brother-in-law yesterday, and he's a Pink Floyd guy, and so he was, but I still appreciate the hell out of them, like just the subject matter, like it takes you into a new world sonically, and then everything they talk about is like what I feel like is what I would be thinking, they're saying what they're really human, humanity.
Yeah, I mean, Roger Waters is just a great lyricist, and then and then the music is fantastic. But like, I remember when there's a few bands over the years that I got when I got into them. It was just that was my thing for like a year or two of just obsessed. And Pink Floyd was right out of high school. I got into Pink Floyd, and I was just like obsessed with Pink Floyd forever. So what are like back to we talked about some
Oh, I was curious what your favorite. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. What's your favorite album?
Pink Floyd album?
Yeah. If you had to pick.
Oh God, that's so tough, man. That's so tough.
One for me to dive into. They're just like, okay, just start with this. Or for a listener that doesn't know.
I mean, Dark Side is a good opener because that kind of probably what did it for me, especially with the Wizard of Oz thing. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah, dude.
Like that, it's pretty cool. And back then, I'd get stoned and just watch like Dark Side of the Moon and Wizard of Oz every day. But I'm sure my parents loved that. But but then I went through anything they did in the '70s was fucking amazing, dude. Like Metal's a great album. It's a little weirder the further you go. Wall's kind of hit and miss, but it's still awesome. I would say like Dark Side or Wish You Were Here, like one of those mid '70s albums.
I really like Wish You Were
just
Here.
You can't go wrong with those albums, man. They're just brilliant, But,
all right. I'm gonna be diving in more now.
Wish You Were Here.
What about your
Animals? I think Sheep is on there.
Animals is a little more like I remember that being like my favorite once I was kind of in the Pink Floyd world, right?
Yeah.
But to like start with, I don't know if I would just throw Animals at somebody. Yeah, they're all really brilliant,
I've always liked Wish You Were Here. I know everybody talks about Dark Side and The Wall, but there's just something about that album that I really dig. It's very, I don't know, it's grounded.
Dude,
right,
Shine On You Crazy Diamond alone, that fucking composition.
Yeah.
You just listen to that fucking track and you're sold. Like if you just put that album on and listen to Shine On You Crazy Diamond, it's like holy shit.
Grab a beer.
Amazing, man.
Yeah. 13 minutes long.
They're epic. But epic. But what about you, man? Like, what? I know you were saying like kind of what you came up, what your parents listened to, some of the stuff you listened to. Any like influences like that though? That were like, what major game changer for you, or someone that was just like, wow, like what were your most pivotal maybe influences?
I think one definitely was American Idiot with Green Day. I mean, when I came out, I needed to hear that so bad at that time. In my head, I was just feeling crazy, and just what he did, where he's literally, like anybody else, I guess, is taking from classics like Johnny Cash, or he's taking from great songs, and he's just remixing all these hits in terms of the melody and just kind of mashing them up together in Jesus of Suburbia. And so I don't know. I just think it's brilliant. I think that he really dives deep into his story so well and separates his characters in his head of like, oh, you got this addictive demonic side to myself that's rebelling, and then you have this other person who's lost, and you have this a female part of myself. It just felt like Bowie kind of
interesting.
And so,
I would not have. I don't really know that much Green Day, and admittedly Vic and I have not always been super kind to Green Day, but we did have an early episode where a very opinionated guest of ours came on and was just like shit all over Green Day and Eric Johnson and Alice in Chains, and
whoa,
it's like,
okay.
Whoa there, fella,
yeah, that's
you're entitled to your opinion, but
those are bold words.
I know, right? It's interesting you say that though about that album, because I'm not super familiar. I mean, I'm the kind of your guy that would know the hits, right? But I don't really know the catalog. That's interesting though that you said the Bowie thing, and that he's actually exploring characters, which would actually make a lot of sense with yourself, right? And kind of your angle with a lot of things. But yeah, I had no idea. That's kind of interesting, man. Dare I say I may go give it a listen.
That's a good, and I put that one next to probably like mentioning Bowie, not because I knew that he was influenced by Bowie or that it reminded me of Bowie, but the Ziggy Stardust,
right.
I freaking love that album. That was a big, like it, like you just have those albums that are just like you said, you get super obsessed with something for a while. And I remember the specific times in my life where I was like really into those two things. And then the Used, I'm big into the Used, so the Lies for Liars album.
Oh yeah,
it was just like, man. Boom, like just every day, like just that was my very, very, very needed at that moment to express my insanity. Yeah. What would you call that genre wise, like a band like the Used? The Used, I know, like I'm always surprised at the bands that they're thrown into with, because they kind of like are categorized like in the emo post-hardcore kind of thing, because I guess he screams, but it's just so melodic to me. Right. And he's got that soft side too. So it's I think generally alternative emo. And then he's got the screamo thing, but yeah, maybe they got the theatrical thing too. It just sounds like an angsty symphony to me. He sounds real beautiful.
What do you think of Ghost? Do you know anything about that band?
I do not. Ghost? No.
Man,
the band?
Spooky. The thing about here's what's really interesting about right.
This mother on a Mary on a cross viral thing. Have you guys seen that?
Well,
Mary on
no,
that's not.
I know it's the band that does that. I haven't seen the viral thing, but
I never heard of them until recently. Somehow that song everybody knows them because of that song.
Okay,
yeah, but
the song I would recommend that is so infectious. I always like have it on a play. I love it. Is Year Zero. That's probably my favorite Ghost song. It's one of their hits. But I saw them live, and there's a few interesting things about Ghost, right? Ghost is like their branding is just brilliant. I mean,
I know,
and their theatrics are great. They're all wearing masks, and the main dude always changes character. It was interesting because I saw them. I was like, this is like a pop metal band mixed with like theater, Broadway theatrics. He would come out and he had the makeup and the whole thing, and he would like they'd finish a song and he would do this little like clappy Phantom of the Opera thing. It was just like so interesting and like so hammy but awesome. But what I think is really funny about Ghost is how you have these like fuck yeah Slayer bro kind of guys, and they're like super into it. I'm like, I'm like, they're really not that heavy.
They're not
And
that heavy. Yeah.
No,
But
it's like super melodic. You know what I mean?
That's such a good reference too. Yeah, it's like their vibe. I think their vibe is like the metal, like the
It's like a black metal. Yeah.
Yeah, black metal stuff. Yeah, it looks like the whole like the aesthetic
The
of it.
aesthetic of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it attracts them,
But
but
then
yeah, totally.
But then they start playing it, and it's very poppy in a
It's
sense.
very
A lot of it's
poppy, very pretty. Yeah, dude. That and yeah. Well, I got to hear more of them. I've only heard that recent hit, and I was like, "This is glorious."
Square Hammer is the one that I played over and over again because it's just got a killer guitar riff when it goes to the chorus, and I'm like, man, that's a really cool sounding riff they got playing through there.
Dang. Okay.
I don't think I know that tune. Yeah. All right. We all have to go listen to some Ghost. Nick and I.
Everyone listening
and listen to an American Idiot, and then you're going to listen to Wish You Were Here.
The other Ghost song is was it Dance Macabre? What is it called? It's like a dance. It's like a poppy dance tune.
I'm trying to think of other like very theatrical bands. You know, a band I saw that my fiance likes is they opened for Alice Cooper. I think it was Motionless in White. You know those guys?
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
Are they there? Because I've noticed that a lot of the Demi fans, I'm seeing that they like them, and I've never heard of them. I never heard them, but I think that they were a band that took a while to take off. But you're saying that they remind you of like theatrical stuff?
Yeah, there's just there's an element of that to it, right? Like the singer's very animated and very recognizable. Like maybe not like so over the top as Marilyn Manson, but I got a little bit of that vibe. And I remember their stage setup was like super cool. They had a really cool like stage setup. Yeah, they were good. I could see there being some crossover like with you on those with your fans on that.
Man, that's super sick.
And today, you know, I've talked about this a lot with just bandmates and stuff like that, where I think today, I hate to say it, and maybe it's not. It depends. It depends on the genre. You know, it's like I think with certain things, it's like if it's true old school punk rock, not so much like pop punk, but like just dirty, like whatever stoner rock or something. Those kind of guys are probably like, no, man, you know, you're a sellout pussy if you have a bunch of visuals and you know, and you're dressing up and doing shit like that. But I think for a lot of bands, it's like it's not enough to just go on stage and play your songs. Like there's that visual aspect beyond even just your own persona, right? Of like, you know, some sort of imagery, right? And, you know, the obvious ones I've barely implemented myself, but whenever you see a band that's just got like, the screen with the images going and just, you know, visuals, like interesting stuff like that, it can make such a difference, you know?
Yeah. It's like a requirement. I don't know if that's like nowadays it's like, yeah, there's just so much freaking content. Like now,
yes.
Like how do you compete if you're not like covering all these bases and you're just like, okay, how? Like I don't know. I just feel like it's just gonna get more and more. There's gonna be more and more opportunities for us to do these things. Oh my God, I'm doing my white elephant stuff with my family. My sister's in town from New York. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're on a podcast. This is my sister from New York. Sorry, she's
hello, sister from New York. How are you?
Hi. Yeah. I don't know if you can hear. Okay. Yeah, we're
no, it's fine. I just wanted.
We're almost done here, and then
we're talking about Bowie right now. She's a big
Bowie.
Big Bowie fan.
There you go.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I guess to leave off that whole there's so much content, we have to step it up. We got more opportunities than ever, and then we got to like cover our asses and.
All right, so Jeff has left the podcast. He's going to go hang out with family, swap some gifts, listen to some Ghost. It was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah. The whole family's going to sit down and turn the lights off and listen to "Shine On You Crazy Diamond."
That's right.
We'd like to thank We'd like to thank our guest once again, Jeff Azar, a.k.a. Demi the Daredevil, for joining us here on our first podcast. This is fucking horrible, dude. Vic, just wrap this one up.
20,
I'm done.
20,
just wrap it
23. Up. All right. So remember, you suffer more in imagination than you do in reality. So get off your damn phone. Go do some jujitsu or listen to some good tunes or our podcast. All right. Any final thoughts? Anything else, Gunk?
Thanks to our guest, Jeff Azar, for being on here today. Demi the Daredevil, go check it out. We hope to see him on tour soon. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time. Later.
Later. Hey folks, that concludes another episode of the podcast. Guest links will be available in the show notes. We'd like to thank our friends at Top Shelf Music for showcasing the podcast on their site. Be sure and check them out at topshelfmusicmag.com for the latest music news, reviews, and events. We'd also like to thank the folks over at Tragan Guitars, Godin Guitars, Ernie Ball Strings, and 5 Iron Woodworks. Have a great week and catch you on the next one.